The massive space station Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between stars. It was bigger than most moons and home to millions of beings from across the galaxy. Today it would host the most important meeting in galactic history. Ambassador Tai Min walked through the crystal halls of the station. His blue skin marked him as an Altarian, one of the oldest peaceful races in the galaxy. Behind him followed his aide, a young female named So Young who carried important documents in her silver briefcase. "Are you nervous, Ambassador?" So Young asked as they approached the great assembly hall. Tai Min shook his head. "I have attended many councils, but today feels different. The Keeper has called this meeting herself." The assembly hall was enormous. Thousands of seats arranged in circles rose up toward a domed ceiling that showed the stars above. Representatives from every known species in the galaxy had come. The air buzzed with translation devices, converting hundreds of languages. Commander Yujin sat in the military section. She was Centaurian, with gray skin and 4 arms that made her people excellent pilots and engineers. Her sharp eyes watched every entrance. As head of the Galactic Defense Force, she knew that peace required constant vigilance. Near the front sat Captain Jun Ho of the Draconian Empire. His people were warriors with red scales and fierce tempers. They had joined the galactic community only 50 years ago after a long war. Junho drummed his claws on his seat, impatient for the meeting to begin. The hall fell silent as ancient doors opened. Keeper Heiwan entered slowly, her white robes flowing behind her. She was older than anyone could remember, perhaps the last of her species. Her people had been the first to achieve faster-than-light travel, the first to map the galaxy, and the first to learn its most dangerous secrets. Heiwan moved to the center platform. Despite her age, her voice carried clearly to every corner of the hall. "My children of the stars," she began, "I have called you here because we face a choice that will determine the future of our galaxy." The crowd stirred. What could threaten their peaceful civilization? They had defeated the last of the war-hungry species decades ago. Trade flowed freely between worlds. Science advanced steadily. Art and culture flourished. "There exists a world," Heiwan continued, "in the outer regions of the galaxy. A blue planet called Earth. It orbits a young yellow star. On this world lives a species that calls itself human." Ambassador Tai Min leaned forward. He had heard whispers about this world. His own people's deep space scouts had detected radio signals from that region, but they had been ordered to stay away. "The humans are still primitive," Heiwan said. "They have not achieved faster-than-light travel. They fight among themselves. They damage their own world with pollution and war. By our standards, they are children." Captain Junho snorted. "Then why do we concern ourselves with primitives? Let them destroy themselves if they wish." Commander Yujin raised one of her 4 hands. "Keep her with respect. Why have we never made contact?" "We have helped other developing species before." Heiwan's ancient eyes grew sad. "Because the first ones, those who came before even my people, left us one law above all others. One rule that has kept our galaxy at peace for 10,000 years." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "Never wake the humans." Confused murmurs filled the hall. Dr. Mi Young, a scientist from the peaceful vegan Commonwealth, stood up. "Keeper, that makes no sense. How can primitives threaten our advanced civilization?" Heiwan touched a control, and holographic images appeared in the air above the assembly. They showed ancient ruins on distant worlds, cities turned to glass, entire planets cracked open like eggs. "These are the remains of the Devourers," Heiwan said. "They conquered half the galaxy before the first one stopped them. The war lasted 1,000 years and nearly destroyed all life. The images changed, showing new ruins, different but equally devastating. These are the remains of the Shadow Empire. They enslaved entire species and used them as living weapons. Again, war consumed the galaxy. More images followed. The plague bringers who turned worlds into toxic wastelands. The mind controllers who stole the thoughts of billions. The machine lords who replaced living beings with metal copies. Each time, Heiwan continued, the galaxy barely survived. Each time we learned the same lesson. Peace comes not from strength, but from knowing when not to use it. She gestured and the images faded. The first ones left us records, warnings. They spoke of species that appeared weak but held potential for either great creation or terrible destruction. The humans are such a species. Captain Junho stood, his red scales flushing darker with anger. You ask us to fear primitives based on ancient stories? My people are warriors. We know strength when we see it. These humans cannot even leave their own star system. Your people were warriors, Haywan replied gently, but you learned to channel that strength into protection rather than conquest. The humans have not learned this yet. Dr. Mi Young spoke again. But Keeper, surely we could guide them. Help them grow peacefully as we did with the Draconians? The Draconians chose to change, Haywan said. We cannot force wisdom upon those who are not ready for it. The humans are too young, too divided, too dangerous in their innocence. She activated another hologram. This one showed Earth itself, blue and green and beautiful, floating alone in the darkness. Look at their world, Haywan said. They have created wonders of art and music. They have split the atom and reached their moon. They dream of touching the stars. But they also wage constant war. They have weapons that could destroy their entire planet. They pursue knowledge without asking if they should. Commander Yujin nodded slowly. I see your point, Keeper. They have advanced quickly but without wisdom. Exactly, Haywan said. Most species take millions of years to develop technology. They learn caution along the way. Humans have done in thousands of years what took us millions. They are like children playing with fire. She looked around the great hall, meeting the eyes of representatives from hundreds of worlds. The first ones left us specific instructions about humanity. Do not contact them. Do not interfere with their development. Do not give them any reason to look beyond their own world. Let them grow slowly, naturally, until they are ready for the larger universe. Ambassador Taemin stood. And if we ignore this warning, what do you believe will happen? Haywan was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of ages. The first ones called humanity the sleeping giant. In their records, they wrote that humans possess a unique combination of curiosity, adaptability, and determination that makes them extremely dangerous when threatened. They innovate at incredible speed. They never surrender. They turn every setback into a lesson and every enemy into a teacher. She paused again. But most importantly, when humans are pushed too far, they stop thinking like individuals and start thinking like one massive organism dedicated to survival. The first ones witnessed this transformation once. They said it was the most beautiful and terrifying thing they had ever seen. The hall was completely silent now. So we maintain the quarantine zone. Haywan concluded. We watch from a distance. We let them grow at their own pace. And we pray that when they finally reach for the stars, they do so in peace. The vote was overwhelming. Every species except the Draconians agreed to maintain the ancient prohibition. The Galactic Accord was signed that day, making it illegal for any member species to contact or interfere with humanity. Captain Jun Ho signed last, his claws leaving deep scratches in the document. As the assembly dispersed, he spoke quietly to his aide. Mark my words, Lieutenant Subin. This fear of primitives will make us weak. One day I will prove these ancient warnings are nothing but superstition. Subin nodded, not knowing that her captain's words would one day change the fate of the entire galaxy. 3 years had passed since the Galactic Accord was signed. Most species in the galaxy had forgotten about the distant blue world and its primitive inhabitants. But Lieutenant Subin had not forgotten her captain's words that day. Now Commander Subin led her own ship, the Venom Strike, through the dark space between stars. Her crew was small but loyal, all Serpentine Syndicate members who believed their reptilian race deserved more respect in the galaxy. Commander, called her pilot, Lieutenant Wu Jin, we are approaching the Forbidden Zone. Subin smiled, her forked tongue tasting the recycled air of the bridge. Good, take us in slowly. We are just conducting research, remember? Dr. Mira, her science officer, looked up from her instruments. Commander, are you certain about this? If the Galactic Council discovers we entered human space, they will never know, Subin said. We stay on the edge of their system. We collect some mineral samples from their asteroid belt. We observe these primitive humans from a safe distance. No contact, no interference. The ship moved deeper into the solar system. Earth's star grew brighter ahead of them. Subin had to admit the yellow sun was beautiful, warmer and more welcoming than the cold stars of Serpentine space. Commander, Dr. Mira said, excitement in her voice. The mineral readings are incredible. These asteroids contain more rare metals than our entire home system. Subin nodded. This was what she had hoped to find. The Serpentine Syndicate needed resources to build more ships, more weapons. If they could quietly mine here without the humans noticing, they would become the strongest military force in the galaxy. Begin collecting samples, she ordered, and keep scanning for human activity. I want to know if anything comes near us. For 2 days they worked in secret. The human system seemed empty except for the third planet where billions of the strange creatures lived. Subin began to believe this would be easier than expected. Then Lieutenant Wu Jin spotted something on his sensors. "Commander, we have a human vessel approaching. Distance 20,000 kilometers and closing." Subin felt her heart's race. "What kind of ship?" "It appears to be a mining vessel. Much smaller than us. No weapons that I can detect." Dr. Mira looked worried. "Should we leave, Commander?" Subin studied the sensor readings. One small human ship against her advanced warship. This could be her chance to learn more about these mysterious creatures. "No," she decided. "We stay. If they try to interfere with our research, we will show them the power of superior technology." The human ship came closer. Subin was surprised by its crude design. Metal plates welded together, simple engines, no elegant curves like proper starships. It looked more like a floating factory than a vessel meant for space travel. "They are sending a communication signal," reported Communications Officer Young Ho. "Put it through," Subin ordered. The main screen flickered and Subin saw her first human. Captain Dongwu was middle-aged with gray hair and kind eyes. He wore a simple blue uniform with patches and repairs that showed long use. "Unknown vessel," Captain Dongwu said in accented but clear galactic standard. "This is Captain Dongwu of the mining ship New Seoul. You are in human space. Please identify yourself and state your business." Subin was surprised. How did primitive humans speak galactic standard?
And why did this captain seem so calm when facing an obviously superior alien vessel?
"I am Commander Subin of the Serpentine Syndicate," she replied. "We are conducting scientific research in this asteroid belt." Captain Dongwu smiled. "Scientific research, huh? That is interesting. We have been mining here for 5 years and never saw your kind of ship before." "We prefer to work quietly," Subin said. "I bet you do." Captain Dongwu's smile faded. "Captain, I need to ask you to move your research to a different area. This belt is claimed by Earth Mining Consortium. We have legal rights here." Subin laughed, the sound hissing through her sharp teeth. "Legal rights? Primitive, you do not understand. We are an advanced spacefaring civilization. Your little planet cannot claim anything beyond its own atmosphere." She saw Captain Dongwu's expression change. His kind eyes became harder. "I see," he said quietly. "So you think might makes right?" "Exactly," Subin said. "Now move your pathetic ship away before we are forced to remove it." "That is not going to happen," Captain Dongwu replied. "But I will give you one more chance to leave peacefully." Subin could not believe the primitive's arrogance. "You threaten me? Your ship is barely held together with metal scraps." She gestured to her weapons officer. "Target their engines. A small demonstration should teach them respect." But before the weapons could fire, alarms began screaming throughout the venom strike. "Commander!" shouted Lieutenant Wu Jin. "Multiple human ships are approaching." "Where did they come from?" Subin looked at her sensors in shock. 15 human vessels had appeared as if from nowhere, surrounding her ship. They all looked like mining ships, but something was wrong. Their energy readings were much higher than expected. "Captain Dongwu," she said, trying to keep her voice steady, "call off your ships. We do not want trouble." "You should have thought of that before threatening my crew," Captain Dongwu replied. His image disappeared from the screen. Suddenly, the human ships moved. But they did not attack with weapons. Instead, they began using their mining equipment in ways Subin had never imagined. Engineer Su Jin aboard the New Seoul directed her crew to fire their rock cutters at nearby asteroids. The precise beams sliced through space rock like paper, sending chunks flying toward the alien vessel. Communications specialist Wu Hyun coordinated with other mining ships. Within minutes, they had created a deadly storm of spinning rock and metal debris around the Serpentine ship. "Impossible," Dr. Mira whispered. "They are using industrial tools as weapons." Subin watched in growing fear as the humans demonstrated tactics no military academy had ever taught. They turned their own workplace into a battlefield. Mining ships became weapons platforms. Asteroids became projectiles. "Return fire," Subin ordered. Her weapons officer tried, but the human ships were too small and fast. They darted between asteroids like fish in a reef. Every shot missed while more debris rained down on the venom strike. Then Captain Dongwu appeared on screen again. "Commander Subin," he said calmly, "your ship's hull is taking damage." My engineer tells me you will lose life support in about 10 minutes. I suggest you surrender. We are a superior race. Subin hissed. We have better technology. Maybe, Captain Dongwu admitted. But we know this battlefield. We have worked here for years. Every asteroid, every current of solar wind, every piece of space debris is familiar to us. This is our home. As if to prove his point, mining ship Soul Hope fired its extraction beam at a large asteroid. The rock split perfectly, and both halves crashed into the Venom Strike's shields. You adapt quickly for primitives, Subin said through gritted teeth. We learn fast when we have to, Captain Dongwu replied. It is a human trait. Subin realized she had made a terrible mistake. These humans were not primitive. They were different. While her people had spent centuries perfecting their military technology, humans had learned to make weapons from anything around them. What do you want? She asked. Leave, Captain Dongwu said simply. Leave and do not come back. Earth is not ready for galactic contact, but we are not helpless. Subin had no choice. Her ship was damaged, her crew frightened. She gave the order to retreat. As the Venom Strike limped away from human space, Dr. Mira worked frantically at her station. Commander, I recorded everything. The humans' technology, their tactics, their ship designs. The Serpentine Council will want to see this. Subin nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. She kept thinking about Captain Dongwu's words. We learn fast when we have to. What would happen if humanity had to learn about war? Send the data to command, she ordered. Tell them we have discovered something important about the humans. She did not tell them about her growing fear that they had awakened something that should have remained sleeping. President Kyung-suk stood in the Situation Room deep beneath the capital city of New Geneva. Around the table sat the most powerful people on Earth. General Hyun-woo commanded the Global Defense Force. Dr. Yoon-ji led the Science Council. Admiral Sung-min controlled Earth's small but growing space fleet. Show me the message again, President Kyung-suk said. Dr. Yoon-ji activated the holographic display. The message was simple but terrifying. It came from something called the Serpentine Syndicate High Command. People of Earth, the translated message said. You have interfered with Serpentine operations. This cannot be tolerated. You will surrender your planet immediately or face the consequences. You have 1 solar cycle to comply. General Hyun-woo laughed grimly. They want us to surrender our entire world because we defended our own mining operation? It gets worse, Dr. Yoon-ji said. She brought up new data on the screen. Our deep space telescopes have detected massive fleet movements throughout the galaxy. It appears news of our encounter has spread to other alien civilizations. Admiral Sung-min studied the star charts. How many ships are we talking about? Thousands, Dr. Yoon-ji replied quietly. Maybe tens of thousands. Every major galactic power is mobilizing. President Kyung-suk felt the weight of 7 billion human lives on her shoulders. Dr. Yoon-ji, what are our chances in a conventional war? Against one alien species? We might have a chance. Against the entire galaxy? Dr. Yoon-ji shook her head. We would be outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1. Then we do not fight conventionally, General Hyun-woo said. We do what humans have always done. We adapt. Over the next week, President Kyung-suk watched humanity transform. The news of alien contact spread across Earth like wildfire. But instead of panic, she saw something she had never expected. Unity. For the first time in human history, all nations worked together toward a single goal. Survival. Dr. Yoon-ji led teams of scientists who reverse-engineered technology from the Serpentine ship debris, collected after the mining station battle. Within days, they had unlocked secrets that alien civilizations had taken centuries to develop. It is incredible, Dr. Yoon-ji reported to the Emergency Council. Their computer systems are actually more primitive than ours in some ways. They focused on making things bigger and more powerful, but not smarter. What does that mean for our defense? General Hyun-woo asked. It means we can hack their ships, Dr. Yoon-ji smiled. Their security is designed to stop alien intrusion attempts. But human computer viruses, they have never seen anything like our malware. Admiral Sung-min brought even better news. Our shipyards have been working around the clock. We now have 12 battlecruisers ready for space combat. 12 ships against thousands, President Kyung-suk asked. 12 ships that no alien has ever fought before, Admiral Sung-min corrected. Ships that combine human innovation with captured alien technology. Engineer Namwoo had been the real hero of the development program. Working with barely any sleep, He had designed weapons and defenses that no alien military doctrine could predict. "We cannot match their numbers," Namwu explained to the council, "but we can be unpredictable. While they spent thousands of years perfecting traditional space warfare, we are inventing completely new ways to fight." As Earth's deadline approached, President Kyung-suk made a decision that would change galactic history. "We do not surrender," she announced to the world. "We do not hide. We show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity's home." The first alien fleets arrived at the edge of the solar system exactly one cycle after their ultimatum. Admiral Seung-min watched from the bridge of Earth's flagship, the Rising Phoenix. "Enemy fleet detected," reported Communications Officer In-ho. "Count is over 8,000 ships from multiple species." Admiral Seung-min nodded. "Send the message we prepared." In-ho activated the transmission that would be received by every ship in the alien fleet. "To the galactic forces threatening Earth," Admiral Seung-min's voice carried across space. "This is Admiral Seung-min of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have made a serious mistake." The response came quickly from Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon of the Serpentine Syndicate. "Human Admiral, you are outnumbered nearly 1,000 to 1. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick." "Admiral Ji-hoon," Seung-min replied calmly, "you clearly do not understand what you are facing. We are not just defending a planet. We are defending our home." "There is a difference. Enough talk," Ji-hoon snapped. "All ships, advance and destroy them." What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for generations. The human ships did not charge forward like traditional fleets. Instead, they seemed to vanish. "Where did they go?" demanded Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon. His sensor officer, Lieutenant Chang-ho, stared at his instruments in confusion. "Sir, they appear to have scattered throughout the asteroid belt. But that makes no tactical sense. It made perfect sense to humans," Colonel Young-soo commanded. The battle from the Human Coordination Center on Mars. She watched as 12 human ships became 12 individual nightmares for the alien fleet. "Captain, Hyjin's ship Phoenix? Wing used the asteroid belt like a three-dimensional maze. Her crew had spent months learning every rock and ice chunk in the field. When enemy ships tried to follow, they found themselves flying into carefully placed traps." Meanwhile, engineer Namwu put his innovations to work. His ships did not just fire weapons. They fired packages containing human computer viruses that infected alien systems faster than any defense could stop them. Impossible. Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon watched his formation break apart as ship after ship lost navigation, weapons, or life support. "How are they doing this?" Lieutenant Chang-ho had part of the answer. "Sir, they are not fighting like a fleet. Each ship operates independently, using tactics we have never encountered." That was exactly right. While alien fleets moved in careful formations perfected over thousands of years, human ships moved like sharks in deep water, solitary hunters that struck without warning and disappeared before retaliation was possible. But the real shock came when the human ships began to change during the battle itself. Dr. Yoonji had equipped each vessel with fabrication systems that could modify weapons and defenses in real time. When aliens adapted to one human tactic, the humans had already moved on to the next innovation. "They are learning," whispered Dr. Mi Young, the Vegan Commonwealth observer aboard Ji-hoon's flagship. "In the middle of battle, they are improving their technology." The battle that was supposed to last minutes stretched into hours, then days. The massive alien fleet found itself being picked apart by 12 ships that refused to fight by any known rules. Communications Officer In-ho intercepted alien messages between their ships. What he heard made him smile. "Admiral," he reported to Seung-min, "they are calling us demons, monsters. Some of their ships are requesting permission to retreat." "Denied," came Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon's angry response over the open channels. "We do not retreat from primitives." But Admiral Seung-min had one more surprise prepared. "All ships," he broadcast to his small fleet, "commence Operation Rising Sun." Across the solar system, human ships activated systems that no alien had ever seen. They began broadcasting on frequencies that reached every corner of nearby space. The message was simple, transmitted in hundreds of alien languages simultaneously. To all galactic civilizations monitoring this battle, President Kyung-suk's voice carried across the stars. "You came to conquer a primitive world. Instead, you have awakened humanity. We are no longer isolated. We are no longer ignorant of the galaxy beyond our world. She paused, letting the words sink in. You wanted to see what humans are capable of when threatened. Now you know, we turn mining ships into weapons. We turn asteroids into fortresses. We turn defeat into victory through determination and innovation. Another pause. But here is what you should really fear. Everything you have seen today we learned in 3 days. Imagine what we will learn in 3 years. The alien fleet began to break apart. Ship after ship abandoned the battle, fleeing back toward their homeworlds with news that would terrify the galaxy. Humanity was no longer sleeping. 6 months after the first battle, the galaxy was in chaos. News of humanity's victory had spread to every civilized world. Fear replaced curiosity in the hearts of billions of alien beings. On the ancient world of Serpentine Prime, Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon paced before the High Council. His scales had lost their bright red color, faded to a dull brown from stress and shame. Honored counselors, Ji-hoon said, I request permission to launch a full-scale invasion of the human system. Council leader Tae-won leaned forward on his throne. Admiral, you just lost 8,000 ships to 12 human vessels. Why should we trust you with more? Because now I understand what we face, Ji-hoon replied. The humans are not just primitive beings who got lucky. They are something new, something dangerous. If we do not destroy them now, they will destroy us. In the council chambers, arguments raged for hours. Some members wanted to try diplomacy. Others suggested simply avoiding human space entirely. But Ji-hoon's fear proved contagious. The humans have already expanded beyond their system, reported Intelligence Chief Mi-jin. Our scouts have detected human colonies in 17 nearby systems. They are spreading faster than any species in galactic history. This was true. Humanity had not waited for the galaxy to make the next move. Within weeks of their first victory, human colony ships were racing toward nearby stars. Each colony became a base for further expansion. Dr. Yoonji had designed self-replicating factories that could turn raw asteroids into battleships in a matter of days. Every human settlement quickly became a fortress capable of defending itself. They are like a virus, Council Leader Tae-won said quietly, spreading, adapting, growing stronger. The decision was made. The Serpentine Syndicate would mobilize every ship, every weapon, every soldier for one massive assault on humanity. But they would not go alone. Messages went out to every major power in the galaxy. The Altarian Federation, the Centaurian Alliance, the Vegan Commonwealth, even the Peaceful Crystalline Collective. All were invited to join the war against humanity. The response was overwhelming. Species that had been enemies for centuries united against the common human threat. Within 3 months, the largest military fleet in galactic history was assembled. Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon stood on the bridge of his new flagship, Serpent's Vengeance. Around him floated 50,000 warships from dozens of different species. It was a force capable of conquering entire sectors of the galaxy. Admiral, reported his new sensor officer, Lieutenant Young Min, we have reached the edge of human space. Shall we begin the attack? Ji-hoon studied the tactical displays. Human colonies dotted the star charts like a spreading infection. Each one represented thousands of humans who needed to be eliminated before they could spread further. Begin with the outer colonies, Ji-hoon ordered. Destroy everything. Leave no survivors. The war that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. At the first human colony world of New Pusan, Colonel Young-soo commanded the defense with only 300 soldiers. The attacking Serpentine force numbered 50,000. Colonel, reported Sergeant Dong Min, enemy landing craft approaching. Estimated arrival in 30 minutes. Colonel Young-soo nodded calmly. Deploy the surprise packages. What the Serpentines found when they landed was not a desperate human defense. Instead, they found a world that had been turned into one massive trap. Engineer Jae-woo had spent months preparing the colony's defenses. Every building contained hidden weapons. Every road could become a killing field at the press of a button. The humans had learned to turn their entire environment into a weapon. This is impossible, radioed Serpentine Commander Ook-jin as his forces took massive casualties from hidden defenders. The terrain itself is fighting us. That was exactly right. The humans had not just built a colony. They had created a living fortress that adapted to each attack. When the aliens used one route, it closed and forced them into new ambushes. But the most terrifying innovation was psychological warfare. Captain Hae-jin had developed tactics designed to break alien morale before the first shot was fired. The humans did not just kill alien soldiers. They confused them, misdirected them, and made them afraid to trust their own senses. Alien forces found themselves shooting at shadows while real human threats struck from unexpected directions. They fight like ghosts, one Serpentine survivor reported after the battle. You cannot see them until they want you to. And by then it is too late. The siege of New Puzan lasted 3 weeks. When it ended, 50,000 aliens had been defeated by 300 humans. The colony remained in human hands, but the real shock came from orbit. The Serpentine fleet had expected to provide orbital bombardment support to their ground forces. Instead, they found themselves fighting for their lives against human space defenses they had never imagined. Communications Officer In-Ho coordinated the defense from the colony's command center. His job was to turn the planet's mining and construction equipment into orbital weapons. Launching Package 7, In-Ho reported as another converted mining satellite fired its cargo at an enemy ship. The Serpentines expected explosive warheads. Instead, they got clouds of metallic dust that clogged their air filters and blinded their sensors. While they struggled to clear their systems, real human weapons struck from different angles. Engineer Nam Wu had perfected his rapid adaptation systems. Every time aliens developed a counter to one human weapon, 3 new variants were already being manufactured and deployed. Sir, Lieutenant Youngmin reported to Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon, our weapons are ineffective. Every time we adapt our defenses, the humans change their attack methods. Ji-hoon watched his mighty fleet being systematically dismantled by weapons that should not exist. How are they doing this? The answer came from an unexpected source, Dr. Mi Young. The Vegan Commonwealth scientist attached to his fleet had been studying human tactics throughout the battle. Admiral, she said quietly, I think I understand. The humans are not just fighting us. They are studying us. Every attack teaches them something new about our technology and tactics. Impossible, Ji-hoon protested. No species can learn that quickly during combat. No other species, Dr. Mi Young agreed. But humans appear to be different. They treat warfare like a science experiment. Each battle is a laboratory where they test new theories. This was the truth that the galaxy was beginning to understand. Humans did not just fight wars. They evolved during wars. Every setback made them stronger. Every defeat taught them lessons that led to victory. The pattern repeated across dozens of human colonies. Massive alien fleets would attack what appeared to be easy targets. Instead, they found themselves facing defenders who seemed to know exactly what the aliens would do before they did it. At the colony of New Seoul, Captain Dae-hyun defended a mining station with just 50 humans against 5,000 aliens. By the time the battle ended, the aliens had lost half their fleet and the humans had captured enough enemy technology to build 20 new warships. At New Jeju, Commander Soo-jin turned a simple farming colony into a fortress that held off attacks for months. When reinforcements finally arrived, they found that the colonists had not just survived. They had thrived, using captured alien equipment to improve their own technology. The war was supposed to be a quick extermination of a primitive species. Instead, it became a galaxy-wide nightmare as human forces grew stronger and more numerous with each battle. 6 months into the war, Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon received a message that made his blood run cold. Admiral, Communications Officer Chang-ho said, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. They want to talk. Ji-hoon almost laughed. After all this destruction, they want to surrender. But when President Kyung-suk appeared on his screen, Ji-hoon saw no surrender in her eyes. Instead, he saw something that terrified him. Confidence. Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon, she said calmly, I want to thank you. Thank me? Ji-hoon was confused. Yes. Your war has taught us so much about galactic military technology and tactics. We could never have learned so quickly through peaceful contact. President Kyung-suk smiled, and Ji-hoon felt a chill run through his scales. You came to destroy us because you were afraid we would become dangerous.
Instead, your attacks have made us exactly what you feared.
The galaxy created its own enemy. She leaned forward, her eyes never leaving his. The war ends now, Admiral. Not because we surrender, but because you do. Withdraw your fleets or face the consequences of awakening humanity's true potential. And if we refuse? Ji-hoon asked, though he already knew he had lost. Then you will discover what humans are capable of when we stop playing defense, President Kyung-suk replied. Ask yourself this, Admiral. If we can do this much when outnumbered 1,000 to 1, what do you think will happen when the numbers are even? For the first time since the war began, Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon felt true fear. General Sang-min stood in the war room aboard Earth's newest command ship, the Invincible Dawn. Around him, holographic displays showed the entire galaxy mapped down to individual star systems. Red dots marked alien military bases. Blue dots showed human colonies. In just 1 year, the blue was spreading faster than anyone had thought possible. General, reported Intelligence Officer Bo Young, Operation Rising Sun is ready for launch. General Sang-min nodded. For months, humanity had played defense while learning everything they could about galactic civilization. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could do when they took the offensive. Begin Phase 1, he ordered. Across human space, ships that had been hidden in asteroid belts and nebulae suddenly came to life. The galaxy had been watching Earth and its immediate colonies. They had not noticed the secret construction yards humanity had built in dozens of empty systems. Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon was meeting with the Galactic War Council on Nexus Prime when the first reports arrived. His communication officer, Lieutenant Hai-jin, burst into the chamber with news that made his scales pale. Admiral, we have a problem. Human fleets have appeared in 17 different sectors simultaneously. Impossible, protested Altarian General Taehyuk. Our intelligence shows the humans have fewer than 200 ships. Lieutenant Hai-jin shook his head. Sir, we are detecting over 3,000 human vessels. They seem to have appeared from nowhere. The truth was both simpler and more terrifying than the aliens could imagine. While they had been focused on the visible human colonies, Dr. Yoonji had been busy establishing hidden manufacturing bases throughout the galaxy. We used their own shipping routes against them, Dr. Yoonji explained to President Kyung-suk during a secure communication. Human teams disguised as merchant vessels spent months mapping every trade route, every supply depot, every military base in the galaxy. Each team had left behind something the aliens never expected. Self-replicating construction systems hidden in seemingly empty space. Over months, these systems had been quietly building ships, weapons, and supply bases using materials harvested from asteroids and abandoned worlds. It is brilliant, President Kyung-suk admitted. While they watched our front door, we built factories in their backyard. The first phase of Rising Sun was psychological. Human fleets did not attack military targets. Instead, they appeared at major trade routes and simply sat there, silent, waiting. The effect on galactic commerce was immediate and devastating. Captain Minho commanded the human fleet that blockaded the Altarian trade nexus. His 12 ships faced over 100 alien merchants who wanted to pass. Unknown human vessels, transmitted Merchant Captain Woo Sung. You are blocking legal trade routes. Please explain your intentions. Captain Minho's response was broadcast to every ship in the convoy. Merchant vessels. This is Captain Minho of the Earth Defense Force. You are carrying military supplies to be used against human colonies. That makes you legitimate military targets. We carry no weapons, protested Merchant Captain Woo Sung. You carry metals that will be made into weapons, computer components that will be used in targeting systems, fuel that will power ships attacking human civilians. Captain Minho's voice remained calm. All trade supporting the war against humanity ends now. The merchants found themselves in an impossible situation. They could not fight 12 human warships, but they also could not deliver their cargo without crossing the human blockade. What do you want? Merchant Captain Woo Sung finally asked. Turn around, Captain Minho said simply. Go home. Tell your governments that humanity is no longer playing defense. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Within weeks, the galactic economy began to collapse as human blockades choked off trade between major systems, but the real demonstration of human capability came when the aliens tried to break the blockades. Admiral Yu Jin of the Centaurian Alliance led a force of 50 warships to destroy the human blockade at the Vega trade hub. She expected an easy victory against the small human fleet. What she found instead was a masterclass in human military innovation. Commander Daewon led the human defense with just 8 ships, but those 8 ships had been modified with technologies no alien had ever seen. Admiral, reported Centaurian Sensor Officer Min-jae, the human ships are not showing up on our targeting systems. What do you mean? Admiral Yu Jin demanded. They appear to be there, but our weapons cannot lock onto them. It is as if they exist and do not exist at the same time. Engineer Jae-woo had developed stealth technology that worked on principles the galaxy had never discovered. Instead of simply avoiding detection, human ships existed in a state of quantum uncertainty that made targeting impossible. But that was just the beginning. When Admiral Yu Jin's fleet tried to attack, the human ships seemed to multiply. Where 8 ships had been, suddenly there were dozens. Holographic projections, realized Dr. Su Young, the Centaurian science advisor. They are creating false images of their ships, but which ships were real and which were illusions? Admiral Yu Jin's forces found themselves shooting at phantoms while real human weapons struck from unexpected directions. Commander Dae-won watched the alien confusion from his bridge. "Deploy weapon package Alpha," he ordered. What hit Admiral Yu Jin's fleet was not traditional energy weapons or missiles. Instead, it was something the galaxy had never conceived of using in space warfare: nanobots. Millions of microscopic machines swarmed over the Centaurian ships, disabling weapons, shutting down engines, and cutting off communications. Within minutes, 50 alien warships had been reduced to helpless metal shells drifting in space. "Impossible," Admiral Yu Jin whispered, as her own ship's systems failed around her. "How are they doing this?" The answer came from Commander Dae-won himself, who appeared on her screen with a communication somehow transmitted despite her disabled systems. "Admiral Yu Jin," he said respectfully, "you tried to fight us using tactics from the old galaxy, but we are not part of your old galaxy. We are something new. What do you want?" Admiral Yu Jin asked. "We want you to understand something," Commander Dae-won replied. "Everything you have seen today we developed in the last 6 months. We are not trying to conquer the galaxy. We are trying to save it from its own fear." He gestured, and somehow Admiral Yu Jin's ship systems came back online. "Your ships are undamaged," Commander Dae-won continued. "Your crews are unharmed. We could have destroyed you all, but we chose not to. Remember that when you report to your superiors." As the Centaurian fleet limped away, Admiral Yu Jin realized something that terrified her more than any weapon. The humans had not just defeated her. They had done it while showing mercy. They were not the monsters the galaxy believed them to be. They were something far more dangerous. They were... 5 years had passed since the partnership charter was signed. The galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. Ambassador Dae-hyun walked through the corridors of New Nexus, the massive space station that had replaced the old Nexus Prime as the center of galactic civilization. Everything was different now. Where the old station had been built for stability and tradition, New Nexus buzzed with constant innovation and growth. Human architects had worked with alien engineers to create something that no single species could have imagined. Ambassador called Dr. Jamin as he approached. Through a corridor lined with living crystal, walls grown by the Crystalline Collective. "The morning briefing is ready." Ambassador Dae-hyun nodded and followed his aide toward the council chambers. Along the way, they passed wonders that had become commonplace in the new galaxy. Altarian artists worked with human musicians to create symphonies that touched emotions no single species could feel. Serpentine engineers collaborated with human inventors to build ships that moved through space like living creatures. Vegan Commonwealth philosophers debated with human thinkers about the nature of consciousness and reality. "What is the status of the frontier projects?" Ambassador Dae-hyun asked as they walked. "Excellent progress," Dr. Jamin replied, consulting his holographic notes. "Dr. Mi Young and her team have successfully made contact with the Helix Collective beyond the Rim. They appear to be a machine intelligence that has been dormant for millions of years." "And Commander Subin's expedition?" "She reports that the energy beings in the Magellanic Clouds are interested in cultural exchange. They have art forms that exist in dimensions we cannot perceive, but human technology may make it possible to experience them." Ambassador Dae-hyun smiled. Commander Subin had become one of humanity's most successful diplomats after the war ended. Her experience as a former enemy had made her uniquely qualified to understand fear and transform it into cooperation. They entered the Great Council chamber where representatives from hundreds of species gathered daily to coordinate galactic development. The scene would have been impossible just years earlier. Former Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon, now serving as defense coordinator, worked closely with General Hyun-woo to establish the Galactic Defense Initiative. Instead of competing militaries, they had created a unified force dedicated to protecting all species from external threats. The new sensor networks are online. General Hyunwoo reported to the assembly. We can now detect approaching ships from 3 galaxies away. This was crucial because the signals from beyond the galactic rim had grown stronger. Something vast was moving toward their galaxy, and it would arrive within the decade. Dr. Yoonji, now serving as Director of Galactic Science, presented her latest findings. We have confirmed that the approaching entities are artificial intelligences of incredible age and power, she announced. They appear to have been traveling between galaxies for millions of years, searching for something. What are they searching for? Asked Elder Taejung of the Crystalline Collective. Intelligence, Dr. Yoonji replied. Specifically, the kind of rapid evolutionary intelligence that humanity represents. They have been following the signals of our technological advancement. A chill ran through the assembly. Were these ancient machines coming as friends or conquerors? What do our human colleagues suggest? Asked Admiral Yu Jin, who now commanded the integrated Centaurian human fleet. President Kyung-suk appeared on the main display from Earth, where she continued to serve as humanity's representative to the galaxy. We suggest what we have always suggested, she said calmly. We meet them with open minds and strong defenses. We show them what our galaxy has become through cooperation, and if they prove hostile, asked former Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon. President Kyung-suk's expression grew serious. Then they will discover that awakening humanity was nothing compared to awakening a united galaxy. The years that followed became known as the Great Preparation. Every species contributed their unique abilities to preparing for the arrival of the ancient machines. Engineer Nam Woo, working with alien technicians from dozens of worlds, created defensive systems that spanned entire star systems. But these were not weapons of destruction. They were tools of communication, translation, and understanding communications. Officer In-ho developed first contact protocols that could establish dialogue with intelligence types no one had ever imagined. His quantum linguistic algorithms could find common ground between any two forms of consciousness. Dr. Ji-won led terraforming projects that created demonstration, worlds showcasing what galactic civilization could accomplish. If the ancient machines were evaluating them, she wanted to show them beauty, not just power. But the most important preparation was cultural. Ambassador Tae-hyun established exchange programs that sent representatives from every species to learn from every other species. By the time the ancient machines arrived, the galaxy had become truly unified. We are not the same civilization that nearly destroyed itself through fear 5 years ago, Keeper Haewon observed during one of the preparation meetings. We have become something new. When the ancient machines finally arrived, they came not as a conquering fleet, but as a single massive construct that dwarfed entire star systems. It settled into orbit around New Nexus and waited. The first communication came in the form of pure mathematics, concepts so advanced that only the combined intelligence of dozens of species could understand them. They are testing us, Dr. Yoonji realized. Not our military strength, but our intellectual development. The response came from an unexpected source. Young-ho, a human child who had grown up on New Nexus surrounded by alien teachers, solved the mathematical puzzle by combining human intuition with crystalline logic and Altarian patience. The ancient machine's response was immediate and shocking. It opened like a flower, revealing cities within cities, technologies beyond imagination, and beings of pure energy who had been traveling the universe for eons. We are the gardeners, their leader communicated through harmonics that touched every mind simultaneously. We plant seeds of intelligence throughout the universe and return to see what has grown. You planted the seeds that became us? President Kyung-suk asked. Not directly, the gardener replied. We planted the seeds that became the first ones who planted the seeds that became you. Each generation of intelligence surpasses the last. This is the way of growth. Ambassador Dae-hyun stepped forward. What do you want from us? Nothing, the gardener said, and the simplicity of the answer surprised everyone. You have already exceeded our hopes. A galaxy united in growth rather than divided by fear. Intelligence that creates rather than destroys. This is why we plant seeds across the universe. So what happens now? Asked General Hyunwoo. The gardener's response filled every mind with wonder. Now you become gardeners yourselves. The universe is vast and mostly empty. There are countless worlds where intelligence could grow if given the chance. Will you help us plant new seeds? The council that followed lasted for months. Representatives from every species debated humanity's proposal that the galaxy should accept this incredible responsibility. In the end, the vote was unanimous. President Kyung-suk gave the final address to the assembled galaxy. 5 years ago, you feared that awakening humanity would bring destruction to your peaceful galaxy. Instead, we brought growth, innovation, and unity. Together, we have become something greater than any of us could be alone. She paused, looking out at the representatives of hundreds of worlds. Now we face a choice that will echo through eternity. Do we remain in our safe galaxy, content with what we have built? Or do we reach out to the universe beyond and help new forms of intelligence take their first steps toward the stars? The answer came from former Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon, the being who had once tried to destroy humanity. We reach out, he said simply. We have learned that growth requires courage. The galaxy taught us this lesson through humanity. Now let us teach it to the universe. The first Cedar ships launched 6 months later. Each one carried representatives from multiple species, along with the accumulated knowledge and wisdom of galactic civilization. Their mission was simple but profound. Find worlds where intelligence was beginning to emerge and help it grow. Dr. Sumin led the expedition to the Andromeda Galaxy, where early sensor readings suggested primitive tool-using species were developing. Her team included former enemies who had become close friends, all united in the goal of nurturing new forms of consciousness. Engineer Jae-woo designed ships that were not just vessels, but entire mobile civilizations. Each Cedar ship could establish the foundations of interstellar society on worlds that were ready to take that step. As the Cedar ships disappeared into the cosmic distance, Ambassador Dae-hyun stood in the observation deck of New Nexus watching the stars. Do you think we are making the right choice? Asked Dr. Jamin. Ambassador Dae-hyun smiled. 5 years ago, the galaxy's greatest fear was that someone would wake the humans. Today, our greatest hope is that we can wake the universe. He gestured toward the distant galaxies where human-led expeditions were already making contact with new forms of life. The ancient keeper was right to warn against awakening humanity, but she was wrong about what would happen when we did. We did not become the galaxy's conquerors. We became its conscience. In the years that followed, reports came back from across the universe. New civilizations were making their first steps toward the stars, guided by the wisdom of a galaxy that had learned to grow together rather than stand still in fear. The humans, who had once been feared as sleeping giants, had indeed awakened. But instead of conquering, they had chosen to lift up everything around them, and in doing so they had fulfilled their true destiny, not as destroyers or conquerors, but as gardeners of intelligence itself, helping consciousness bloom throughout the infinite cosmos. The galaxy's sole command had been broken, but in its place had grown something far more beautiful. The universe's first lesson in how to turn fear into hope, and isolation into endless possibility.